Chair now recognizes Ranking Member Takano for 5 minutes for any remarks.
Thank you, Chair Kiggins, for this courtesy. Let's talk about accountability at VA. If my majority colleagues want to use this committee's time to take a look back at the Biden-Harris administration, I offer to take us back a bit further. I appreciate the opportunity to do a history lesson for those who may be unfamiliar or who have forgotten how Trump and his lackeys sabotaged VA from within during his first administration by sowing fear and hostility in its workforce. He is following that same playbook now that he has regained power, and it is clear that Trump is on a witch hunt against VA employees. Just earlier this week, he sent Elon Musk's entourage to VA central office to do who knows what. Trump has allowed Musk's team of teenage interns to access, collect, and poke around the private information of American citizens at Treasury, some of which includes veterans' data, and I'm deeply concerned that they are doing the same at VA. Veterans are at very real risk, and we demand answers. Unelected bureaucrats and billionaires now have access to hordes of private data, but are not being held to any of the same privacy standards we ask of VA employees or partners. That doesn't sound very accountable to me. But perhaps this is all part of the Republicans' plan for VA. As I have explained many times, a key step of the Republican VA death spiral is an erosion of veteran trust in the VA workforce. That's the purpose of this hearing today. My colleagues are painting a distorted picture of the past to make their case as to why Congress needs to rush to pass their incredibly flawed and unconstitutional Restore VA Accountability Act of 2025. Let me tell you why their case fails. This is their third bite at the apple, to attempt to make, and I say to attempt to make it easier for VA to fire employees. I say attempt with emphasis because when the Republicans tried this in 2014 and 2017, they failed egregiously. And veterans and taxpayers were left holding the bag. The 2014 Choice Act included expedited authorities to remove VA senior leaders or demote them to a lower position. Employees who were removed or demoted using that authority challenged the law's constitutionality in court. The Department of Justice ultimately declined to defend the law from those challenges, and VA ceased using the law to discipline employees. Now, I want to be clear that I did, in fact, vote in favor of Choice and the VA Accountability and Whistleblower Protection Act of 2017. We were still dealing with the fallout of the Phoenix wait time scandal, and at the time, these bills seemed like they would help VA weather that crisis. However, hindsight is 2020, and I learned a valuable lesson: not to trust Trump with power. Instead of using the 2017 law to improve VA, Trump and his corrupt allies weaponized the bill to intimidate employees who were perceived to be unloyal to Trump and to remove employees without due process. During Trump's first go-around at VA, his team set up the Office of Accountability and Whistleblower Protection, otherwise known as OAWP, as required in the 2017 law. They then used that office to retaliate against the whistleblowers they were supposed to protect. I wish I was making this up, but it's well-documented truth. The Inspector General and other watchdog organizations like the Project on Government Oversight and Government Accountability Project helped bring this malfeasance to light. Ultimately, however, during the Biden-Harris administration, OAWP was able to turn things around and become a respected organization we regularly relied on to investigate and recommend discipline for employee misconduct. The death knell for the 2017 law came when the court scrutinized its implementation and VA ultimately quit disciplining employees under its so-called Section 714 authorities to avoid further litigation. As a reminder, this is exactly what happened with the 2014 law. Settlements from the use of the 2017 law resulted in $140 million taxpayer dollars being paid out to former employees. And if that's not a failure for veterans, I don't know what is. The Restore VA Accountability Act of 2025 is just more of the same. It is essentially a codification of Trump's various executive orders to give his political appointees sharpened tools to exact swift justice on VA employees for perceived disloyalty or insubordination. They want to make it as easy as possible to fire VA employees without cause. It's that simple. Restore is opposed by nearly every major labor union. VA has testified time and time again that they do not need the authorities in Restore to hold employees accountable for misconduct, nor will Restore speed up the disciplinary process, contrary to what my colleagues believe. Hampton, Loma Linda, Eastern Colorado, Buffalo, and now Ann Arbor all present issues that warrant our attention so that we can help VA improve patient safety and veteran satisfaction at those facilities. But let me be absolutely clear. The Restore VA Accountability Act will not fix those issues. The Restore Act is not going to hire more people to process referrals. It is not going to bring in more qualified executive leadership. It is not going to improve patient outcomes. What Restore will be is an empty promise to veterans and a tool used to harm the federal employees that serve them. I know that Ranking Member Ramirez and I are committed to work to ensure VA is an accountable organization that holds its employees to the highest standards for our veterans. So let's come back together and explore opportunities for bipartisanship, and I yield back.
Thank you. And before the chair introduces the witness from our first panel, I just think there's a time and place for partisan politics, and I really wish it